Anthony Fantano does one of the most brave things that anybody could ever do, and he does it over and over and over again, day in and day out. And that, my friends, is give your opinion on the internet, okay? Now, he's amassed kind of a huge following for his opinion on the internet, but he's also amassed a couple haters here and there. He's got a massive amount of clout along the way with interactions with Drake and Logic, and the list goes on and on and on. But he is like in heat right now with the modern metal community, if that's even a thing, okay? He put out this review for Sleep Token and gave it a score that we'll get into, and then he talked about the new Avenged Sevenfold record, and he gave it an infamous not good. Now, when Fantano does a not good, that means it's not even worth giving a number rating to, and he just goes in and goes hard for a very long time about how bad that record is. But we're not going to be talking about that record right away. We are going to be talking about this overall drama that these two records have caused for Anthony Fantano, because people are coming for his throat. Hey, how's it going? It's the Punk Rock Observer, Dan Frampton here, and today we're just going to pull up this little document here with a bunch of timestamps. I have kind of like the 10 main reasons from that Sleep Token video why people are so mad at Anthony Fantano, and we're just going to go into it one point at a time, and I'm going to give my commentary on the commentary about the review of a record. How does that sound? All right, let's go. He called it cold and uninviting.
It comes across as calculated and cold and uninviting, kind of like I'm hanging in a textureless, featureless room.
Yes, I would agree with that. It's very clinical, okay? It's like, okay, where's the scalpel and where's the disinfectant, and let's have this perfectly clean little thing. And I really don't understand how people are calling this record a metal record. Sure, there's some points with some distorted guitar and maybe a scream or two laced in there, but this thing isn't a metal record. This thing is R&B for hobbits. This is the kind of thing that elves running away from orcs listen to, okay? And Sleep Token from the UK, they're mixing all these genres, and everybody is like losing their minds over these guys right now. They're getting millions and millions and millions and millions of listens. So when they hear that their favorite new modern metal band is being called Calculated Cold, and they're gonna get a little bit salty, okay? But you gotta love Fantano's just like knowledge of knowing what a fan base is gonna do based on a bad opinion, but he's still not afraid to give his actual honest opinion. And I don't think that he's like giving this bad opinion to troll to cause this reaction, but I do think that he is prioritizing this review in order to like benefit and capitalize off the reaction, which is just smart. That's just content creation 101. And another reason why people are getting a little bit angry with the old melon over here is because he had the audacity to compare this record to the Imagine Dragons, okay? Let's just give this clip a little watch.
What Sleep Token is doing on this record, in the abstract, is not that much different than what you might hear on an Imagine Dragons record, just obviously geared toward a more alternative audience.
So yeah, people weren't so stoked about this comparison, because if you're familiar with Imagine Dragons, they put like this super high gloss finish over all their production, and it just sounds so mechanically produced. And yeah, when I'm listening to this record, Imagine Dragons definitely comes to mind. I also get maybe a little bit of Alt-J and Maroon 5, okay? And sure, they're bouncing around from genre to genre, but in his opinion and mine, these sounds are just no good.
There's not really a single track on this thing that I enjoy the sound of.
I mean, that kind of sounds a little bit harsh, but I would say something like that. I don't like these sounds. I've said that a million times about other bands. It's just like, yeah, sure, I can respect them for what they're doing, but the sounds that they're creating are not sounds that I enjoy, okay? And sounds are subjective. You're allowed to like or not like certain sounds, okay? But the modern metal community are like, hey, Fantano, you better stay away from our modern metal music. You're ruining it. And part of the reason is, yeah, he's a little bit influential out there on YouTube. He might be like the most famous music reviewer in the whole world. So the bands and the fans of the bands really want Fantano to be out here saying some nice complimentary things about the thing that this whole group of people are really enjoying. But you know what? He's not going to come out here just to appease that group of people. No, he has an obligation. He has to stand up for his integrity, and he has to give his honest opinion. And if he doesn't like these sounds, it's all right not to like these sounds. The next thing that he said said about them is, yeah, sure, there's this song, Bore.
And even spots in this track list like Vor leave me kind of cold, where we get the kind of dense and distorted metalcore bands like Converge are known for, but the riffs and rhythms are nowhere near as intense or interesting.
And yes, if you're comparing it to Converge, nowhere near as intense or interesting or compelling. Nowhere's close. And speaking of intensity, the heat just keeps intensifying the more and more this Melon Boy speaks about this album over here. And then he goes on to say that he doesn't really care for the genre combos, because that's the whole thing about this record, okay? This record definitely takes inspiration from all sorts of genres that are happening in the modern era, but they only do like the very basic version of the things from those genres. And they just put them all together in this really big melting pot of no good.
Obviously, even though there are lots of people who disagree and love this band and love this album, I just don't think pop-friendly metal, crushing prog riffs, flowery instrumental passages, and touches of R&B vocals are like the most compelling combination of styles.
Okay, yeah, I do agree with that 100%. There's times where it can be okay, where you take one or two different things, like the Poppy record that came out a couple years ago. That was a pretty cool example of taking different elements of pop music, taking metal, putting it together, and making it kind of work. This record didn't do the same thing to me that Poppy record did, okay? Next point people are having issue with is that it's a top 40 Frankenstein, which I kind of touched on a little bit earlier. So let's see what the old Red Flannel has to say about this.
But what Take Me Back to Eden actually offers is like a top 40 randomized Frankenstein monster, masquerading as something deeper than it actually is.
And that's just it, Anthony. You kind of got it right there. This band is out here being like, hey, we're saying this big, powerful thing with a really big message, but it's not really a big, powerful thing with a really big message. It's surface level nonsense. The fans of Sleep Token also didn't like the fact that Anthony Fantano didn't like the vocals on the record. Okay, you gotta let the guy say what he likes and what he doesn't like. Why are you getting so angry with him? Because if you go over here, this dislike ratio is like almost split right down the middle. Now, I don't know if you know when that happens, that's a crazy thing. That really means you did split the audience. And normally you can't see the dislikes on videos unless you get the plug-in, but I got the plug-in here and people got angry. Look at this thing, 4.7 thousand likes to 4.4 thousand dislikes. Holy crap. Now mostly when YouTubers put out videos, they get like an 80 to 100% like ratio. Not here by a long shot.
And I also don't care for the vocals, which are painfully melodramatic, over-enunciated, and processed to high heaven.
I think those are fine reasons to not like vocals, okay? People are all like, yeah, they're processed. Yeah, that's what I want. I want my vocals processed, okay? How dare you say that the processing of these vocals is no good? Do you like American cheese? Do you like processed cheese? To which he would say, no, dog, I'm vegan. And then came his comparison to Evanescence.
It's like everything that's corny and unbearable about the singing that you might hear on an Evanescence record.
Corny and unbearable and overly dramatic. Yes, it is that. It is 100% that. He made two more points to make sure that you knew why he didn't like this record. And this might be the most valid point of them all.
But when you're talking about vocals and production and songs that you don't really care for off the bat, the last thing that you want them to do is last 8 minutes.
100%. If you're not enjoying something, why do you want it to go on for a crazy amount of time? That is a perfectly fine point to have while listening to a record. If right off the bat you're like, oh my god, this, and it just stays that for 8 minutes, it's torturous. You're not going to like that. That's bad. And of course, you can't mention the drama without the final score.
Yeah, this Sleep Token record is just bland, it's boring, and it's frankly annoying to listen to. I'm feeling a light 2.
And I think a light 2 is pretty generous, because that not good that he gave the Avenged Sevenfold record, I would apply to this as well. But he doesn't like to put out multiple not goods in a row, because it's a pretty bad look, okay? These two big red flannel videos have got the modern metal community all in a tizzy. But do you think Anthony Fantano is rolling around in it? No, he's just moving on. He's just making more content, he's reviewing more records, he's doing more streams, he's like keeping on, okay? He's on Instagram making like little shorts and whatever, okay? He's tweeting. He doesn't care about this sort of thing. This is light work for him, okay? This is just like everyday stuff. And sure, I like it when bands are experimenting. I like a left hook. I like a left field throw, okay? I think that that is so sick. I think it's so cool when people are like, hey, this scene over here is really cool. Is it cool if I take this this beat that these guys do over here and then combine it with these kind of riffs that these guys do over here and then put these kind of vocals over top of it and look at this brand new thing that I have. Isn't that cool? That would be a Frankenstein thing. That's great. But you're just taking the most basic elements of the top 40 stuff, the basic elements of just like top metal playlist Spotify, and just putting all that stuff together is not very interesting. So those were his opinions, the drama that it caused, the effects that it had on his video, and my take on the entire situation. What do you think of this entire situation? You gotta love the drama. And when I get nasty comments on my videos or on my posts, I look at the comments that this guy gets and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's all just like par for the course, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna take any of this too seriously. I gotta keep plugging on. I gotta keep on with my content. But most of you people watching this video aren't subscribed to my channel right now, and that sickens me. That makes my stomach turn. That gives me like goosebumps and I turn green in the face. I can't believe that you watch this video all the way to the end and you haven't liked, subscribed, and left a bunch of comments down there already. Maybe a few pancakes or whatever, a glizzy or two. It's disgusting to me that you haven't engaged with this video to your utmost capacity. It makes me like question humanity and question the internet in itself, okay? So go ahead, do all those things, engage with the video, but most importantly, okay, share it with somebody, talk about it with somebody, and cause some drama today. Actually, don't. Leave that to the professionals.